Winston.
Oh, snake bite.
He was a dirty fighter, I can tell you.
Oh, come on now. One of my fighters
He
being a
bit
dirty.
me
How
in the
can you
ring
say
on my
that?
shoulder, Bob.
Sounds like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that was probably one of my toughest fights.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Every Spin on Sports podcast with your host, Bob. Every.
Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Every Spin on Sports. This is our podcast and this is our inaugural run. I'm so excited today because we're coming to you from the Crown Boxing Gym. We grew up there and met a lot of great people, produced a lot of great fighters. And how fitting is it to have the head trainer of Crown Boxing Club, Moses Manuel, as my guest for the very first run on Every Spin on Sports. Moses, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, Moses, I mean, you've been around a long time, and I don't want to say that you're old, but
Right.
you're not a spring chicken anymore.
Right.
But now, give us a little bit about your background. You came from where?
I came from Mississippi.
Okay.
And after I came from Mississippi, I came up here to visit my dad, and this is where I was born, in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
My parents went through a divorce, and she raised us in the South, which I'm very thankful for. Then after that, when I got out of high school, from playing sports and stuff, I came back to Michigan to stay with my dad. And then I joined a boxing team up here with Mr. Bodine.
Yeah, Bob Bonin, yeah. I think.
Yeah, and that's how I got off into boxing.
Bob was a little bit different, wasn't he?
You know, he was very different. Very mean guy, but
Disciplined.
yes. And so I got into boxing with him, and then I ended up boxed a few fights with him out of town and stuff. Then after that, I joined the military.
Okay. Now, what brand of the military?
I got in the guards, then I went active duty.
Okay, all right.
And then I served overseas in Germany, Mannheim, K-Town, and I ended up joining a boxing team in K-Town.
All right.
In boxing. And I'll never forget this guy. His name was Sergeant Wright. He made me get in the ring to fight the German champion. He beat me up the first round, and I was pissed about it. And so he gave me some orders and told me to get back out there and get him, and I did it.
Yeah.
Then when I ended up getting out of service, came back to the States, I ended up getting back into amateur boxing.
Yeah, and we met actually when you came back, and I was finishing up my career, and you started a couple years after that. But we're both very familiar with the Capital Caravan Youth Center, which was downtown. I don't know if you boxed there or not, but you were pretty close to boxing there if you didn't. Where was your first gym that you trained out of when you got back to Lansing from active duty?
Mr. Bodine had a garage on Michigan Avenue. We boxed out of his garage.
All right. And then I think Bob was his first name. He brought his team over.
Spar you guys.
When we were at Lansing Community College.
Right.
And then we were the Lansing Community College boxing team. And we had a pretty nice little, for that time, it was a pretty nice little setup.
Yeah.
Now I want to pause there just a second and have everybody look back here because this is a setup.
This is a setup.
And if thank God for Bill Demmer. And his contribution to Crown Boxing, but if it wasn't for the kindness of a guy like Bill Demmer, we wouldn't have this. But this is really state-of-the-art stuff here,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's a top-notch gym all over the country. So you boxed for Bob, and then how long did you box for him, and then where did you go after that?
I think I did 3 years with him. And I believe I went to Caravan for a minute.
And that's down on Philly Street.
Right, Philly Street.
And the Caravan Club, if I'm not mistaken, that was the gym sponsored by the Shriners, who actually sponsored the Golden Glove show.
Was. Yes, it was.
So,
sure was.
So you've hit two pretty good gyms there. I've never been to Bob's gym, but he's been to ours. And then, do you remember how you and I came across one another?
Yeah, you had a coach down here, Dario McDonald.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think it was called Crown then.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Sure. I mean, I think we were Crown. I think we changed the name to Crown in either 1990 or 91 when we first moved in here.
91, I think.
Okay, all right, you got it. All right, go ahead, finish your story.
And so Madrano was the head coach down here, and I ended up boxing several years up under him. And then I was a part of the Crown Club.
Yeah, thank God.
And after I found myself, there was a young man's sports. My last fight was 33 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And after that, Madrano needed help in the coaching field.
And that's right here in this gym.
Right here in this gym, and I started coaching right here in this gym.
Yeah. Well, I remember you were a part of that when we put this thing together, George Harris, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
was a longtime boxing official, but really loved helping people out. And when Bill Demmer gave us this facility to use as a boxing gym, George was real excited. He got real involved, and Bill had his people clean the thing out, and then you and I and a bunch of other boxers and George went to work on putting in rings and everything like that, and really got it right up to snuff.
Right.
But do you
After
remember?
Madrano left, you asked me did I want to coach and take over the coaching after Madrano had left, and I told you, yeah. And I started coaching. I was the head coach down here maybe about 4 years, I believe. And then you ended up getting some help, giving me some help. Jamie Stevenson, one of your professional guys.
Yeah, right.
And he had a friend, Novak. And he brought them to
Brian Novak, is it?
Brian, yep. And then they started helping out. So we had brought then 3 or 4 coaches.
Okay.
And then
Seems like a lot of coaches.
yeah, we had several coaches down here.
Sometimes too many, huh?
Yeah, we had too many. But they always down here, and then I think a few more coaches came down here.
What are we doing? Are we training boxers or coaches?
I think it was both.
Come on, coach.
I think it was both. But then at that time, I think Easley came down here and became a boxer.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how he came along, because he started boxing.
Yeah.
Then after that, a war started, and I got signed away to the war for 15 months.
Oh.
And that's when Easley came in and took over the coaching for you.
Okay. All right.
With Jamie Stevenson and them guys.
Yeah.
Because I came back in 2005.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know when we first opened this place in I think '91, somewhere around there.
Right.
We had a pretty darn good team, and we were pretty strict-minded. I was right in the full process of coaching, and then we went strong. I mean, we went real strong. I think we had the second strongest team in the state of Michigan, outside of Kronk.
We did.
And then we got to about 2000, and then guess what? My daughters started showing a real interest in softball. Went on to play college softball where I worked at Lansing Community College, and so I kind of got out of that, and I turned it over to you guys. I turned it over to you and Aaron, and you guys took it and ran with it, and so we're there, and you're still with us. I mean, how long have you been associated with boxing as a coach and a boxer?
I'd say a total over 20 years.
Oh, it was well over 20 years. I mean,
It's way over 20 years. Don't want to show my age, but I know it's over 20 plus.
we don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then so, what are some of the differences today, Moses, with today's kids as it was when you started out? I mean, kids change, it seems like every 10 years. I saw a piece of you on TV not too long ago, and you were talking, it seems like every 10 years you get a different kind of a personality kid, and you mentioned that. So tell me a little bit about the difference between maybe the kids when you started out and maybe where the kids are today. What are the quirky little differences, if you know?
Well, back when we was coming up, we had more respect for our peers and for our coaches and for our parents and for our school teachers. Now, in this era of generation of children is in left field. They have no respect for themselves, nor do they have respect for the school teachers or even for the coaches. So you really have to mentor, mold these new generation children.
Yeah.
Period.
How do you decide and how do you spot when a kid needs tender, loving care and needs discipline?
They distant, they don't want to associate with nobody, and they talk back a lot.
Those are the ones that need the discipline.
Yes, sir. When they got that mouth problem, they talk back to the coaches. You see them bumping head with other students when they're down here. So we see them right away. Now, that's a troubled kid right there. We're going to have to kind of groom him a little bit.
Yeah.
And so them the ones we start taking to a side and say, well, kind of mentally coaching them and counseling them.
Yeah.
Say, what's going on, young man? What's up? Why you got that chip on your shoulder? What's going on? And most of the kids will tell you, I get bullied in school. I don't have food at home. We don't have running water. So the kids have issues. So they come down here with that chip on their shoulder. And once we sense that, we try to intervene and help the best way we can.
Yeah, and I've noticed my experience of boxing and coaching that you get some tough guys and you get some guys just like you talked about, guys who are a little bit hesitant about getting going, but I've seen a lot of kids who are very hesitant and very shy really open up with a great personality, and boxing has been that key, I think, in their life that they were looking for. But you guys go way beyond. I say you guys, I mean myself when I was coaching, you and Aaron, we go way beyond, the boxing end of it. We understand that these kids are going to grow up to be citizens
Yes, sir.
in the community. And so our teaching has to be more than just teaching the manly art of self-defense. I mean, what kind of things do you think are important, not necessarily in a numerical order, but what kind of things do you think that they need to know, and when do they need to know it? I mean, it's kind of like kid walks into the gym, when do you need to know that you can put him in the gym, in the ring, and so on and so on and so on. So, I mean, how do you know what to tell a kid about how to grow up and things that you should be doing while you're growing up, as opposed to just letting them trying to find their own way?
Well, that question's pretty easy, Bob, because we teach a kid about rules. We have house rules in his gym.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't follow a house rule, we're not gonna let you get in that ring. So when we see you can follow a house rule, we can mentor you from a boy into a manhood. Because we share our man experience to our young males. We also have to mentor now females, the do's and the don'ts.
Glad you brought that up.
It works both ways.
Different transition today than it was back 20-some years ago, because
Yes.
women are finding this sport very popular.
Besides, our females work out harder than the guys do.
Really?
Yes, it does. We have had a female champion that won the national from this club. And we got new females grooming now that very focused. They're young,
Yeah.
but they coming and they bringing it to the table.
Yeah, this club has produced several national junior Olympic champions, but the real goal is to win the National Golden Gloves Tournament, because everybody identifies with that. And we've been fortunate enough to have 3 National Golden Gloves champions when you talk about Fabian Williams, Roger Turner, and Tyrone Harris.
Yes, sir.
And we've had a lot of boxers that were real close.
Yes.
We got beat in the finals and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that's what they shoot for. When they come in the gym, maybe they don't necessarily know where they're at and what they're going to do or what they want to do. But you guys give them a goal, something to shoot for, something that's believable that they can obtain if they work hard. And I think that is where the Golden Gloves Tournament comes in, because now they get a chance to try out their teaching, so to speak, to see how it fits them.
Right.
And go ahead.
So we do some strict training, period, down here. And we know when we got a good fighter in a kid, when he can handle the condition, the training that we put him through. We see a kid, when we bark at him, he don't talk back. He respects the coaches. So that kid, we kind of mentor him to groom him and to be a outstanding fighter. And them the type of kids that go far beyond just an amateur.
Yeah. Have you ever had a kid that came in, was totally unmanageable, you kicked him out of the gym, and he came back later, and not necessarily the next day or so, but maybe a week or 2 later, and say, "Hey, coach, can you give me another chance? I think I can follow your directions and get this right if you can just give me another chance."
Yes, sir. We have had several kids like that.
So you have a heart.
Yes, we do. We got to. And we got that from you. We, back in the day, you used to kick them out the gym.
Oh, boy.
Then you let them come back, but they come back a little bit different, a little bit better. So we have kicked out several kids. Matter of fact, we kicked one out. He came back. The kid went all the way to the Olympian trial.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's Arkesi Higdon.
Went all the way to the Olympian trial.
Well, I don't know if you were here when I did kick out 2 of my national champions, and 2 very good fighters, good professionals as well. I kicked out Roger Turner one time. I kicked out Fabian Williams another time. And you know what? The young kids that are in here that don't really know the routine because they are young, they opened up their eyes a little bit, and they said, "Boy, oh boy, if this guy's going to kick these guys out of here, I better toe the road." But I find out that with the diversity in the background that we have here in coaching, that it seems to work. I mean, we've got, and this is just me talking now. We got a white coach, you got a black coach. At one time, you got a Mexican coach, Marcos.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, so you have all of those factors that play into everybody that walks through those gym doors. And now, as I said, you got women. You got women that are coming in, and that opens up a whole new dynamic. So it's a pretty challenging for you guys to put together a pretty good show here.
Well, I love the diversified that we have here at the gym.
Yeah.
And it's like the Rainbow Coalition. We have kids of all races.
Yeah.
And we try to make them be like a family,
Yeah, sure.
brothers and sisters.
Sure.
And so now when they come to the gym, they greet one another.
Yeah.
They hug, shake hands,
Yeah.
and they tell one another's
Sportsmanship.
names.
Sportsmanship,
yeah.
yeah.
And they shake hands, they embrace one another, and that's what we want. If they may not never become a good fighter, but they learn a new friendship. You know, they're not out here by themselves.
Yeah.
They got buddies down here in the gym, and when they see one another out in the street, if one get in doing something they ain't got no business, they come back and tell us.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we hold them accountable.
So they monitor one another, and
Yes, they do.
that's good. Hey, listen, can you stay a little bit longer? We're going to take a
Sure,
break, and
sure.
we'll be right back at you. Just go get a cup of coffee if you want to. Give us a couple minutes, and then we'll be right back at you. My special guest, Moses Manuel. This is Bob Every Spin on Sports.